Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been maybe 3 years since the last time that I posted a video, but with 2025 rolling in, I wanted to make an updated Tokyo apartment tour. Whether you're curious about the cost of living for an apartment in Tokyo, or if you're actually planning on moving to Tokyo or just Japan in general in the future, I'm hoping that this video can give you some insights. Just like in my previous video, I wanted to start by giving a quick apartment tour, and then afterwards I want to share some of the details in terms of the size, the style, the cost, and then also discuss some tips for finding an apartment if you're planning on moving to Japan as well. Thank you again for watching. Please enjoy the video. When you first walk into the apartment, you have this entrance or the Genkan area where you take off your shoes. To the right, there's a storage closet where I put my other pairs of shoes as well as my umbrellas. This is also where I have the breaker for the electricity of the apartment. To the left of the entrance is the bathroom with the toilet. There's also some small storage space above the toilet, as well as a small sink and a mirror. To the right of the entrance is the main living room of the apartment. Compared to my previous place, this main living area is a lot more spacious, so I really did my best to make it as cozy and comfortable as possible for myself. As in every apartment in Japan, there's also this call box or this intercom that is used whenever someone is coming up to my apartment. They would ring it and then I can let them in from upstairs. This back side of the living room is my main working space where I spend a lot of my time if I am working from home or when I am editing a video just like this one. Behind my working space is, of course, the balcony. This is one of the many reasons that I chose this apartment. I really like the sliding doors and the open view. Around the living room is the kitchen. I know that this kitchen is still quite small, but compared to my previous place, it's a huge upgrade. In this kitchen, I have a lot more storage on the side that I can use as a pantry and for any other kitchen items. For the stove, I also have a 3-top burner, which is quite nice if I'm trying to cook multiple things at once. Another thing that I have, which you might see in a lot of Japanese apartments, is this fish grill. Of course, it's used for fish, but you can cook anything else in it. Usually I just make toast. In the kitchen is also where I have this panel that controls the water temperature. So if I wanted to increase or decrease the temperature, I could use this panel. I can also use this panel to start the bath in the other room. The next room is my bedroom. As you can see, there's not much room for anything aside from the bed. Compared to my last place, it still is quite a huge upgrade though. On the left back of my bedroom, I have my walk-in closet. Even though it's a walk-in closet, there's not much room to walk in, but it is still quite spacious. The last room of the house is the bathroom, so this is where the bath and shower are located. This bathroom also had a lot of storage space, which was a huge plus whenever I was moving in. In the back corner is typically where the washing machine would go. However, my recent one had some issues, so I'm currently in the process of getting a newer one. To the left is where the bath and the shower are actually located. In Japan, not many people have a dryer, so they actually hang up their clothes to dry outside. However, if the weather is bad, you can use this panel to start a dry fan that will dry your clothes within the shower area. For this apartment, it's currently around 42 square meters and it is a 1 LDK. Just for a quick overview again about the different styles of apartments in Japan, R equals room, L equals living room, D equals dining room, K equals kitchen. For example, you might have a 1R. This is just one room. In these cases, it's more of like a dormitory style. The bathroom might be within the apartment or it might be a shared bathroom, but there is no kitchen. 1K would be similar to my last apartment, one room plus a kitchen and a bathroom. DK would be one room, dining room, kitchen. 1 LDK would be like this current apartment. So one room, living room, dining room, and kitchen. Okay, so let's talk numbers. For this current apartment, it's around 18,000 per month. That's around 180,000 Japanese yen or around $1,300 US. Of course, at the time of filming this, I'm not sure how much the yen and US dollar rate will kind of fluctuate, unfortunately. Please keep in mind that this cost is just for the rent itself. So whenever you factor in the electricity, water, other utilities, the internet, the price is around $1,500 US per month. Of course, this is just for the fee that I pay on a monthly basis. Whenever you first move to Japan, there's usually a lot more fees that you have to pay up front. For example, this can be the real estate agency fee, guarantor fee. The two other really big fees that you might see or hear about is the shikikin, which is the rental deposit money, as well as the reikin, which is the key money. Shikikin, or the rental deposit money, is usually money that is worth around 1 month's rent that is paid up front. Typically, you get this money back after your lease. Now, I'm saying typically because in a lot of cases, the landlord will use this deposit money for renovations after you leave. So of course, the cleaner that your apartment is, the more of the money you get back. However, some companies will take advantage of you with this money. Maybe I can make a separate video about this, but I actually had to go to court to fight a case about this from my previous apartment. Reikin, or the key money, is one of these kind of gray areas. It can usually be 1 to 3 months worth of rent, and it's considered a key money that goes towards the landlord for gratitude. The key money can also be negotiable in a lot of cases. So whenever you're looking for apartments, some websites even allow you to filter out the listings that do or do not include it. Okay, so for the next part, I want to talk about how I found this place. There's a lot of different websites that you can use in Japan when looking for houses or apartments. Some of the bigger ones might be Sumo, Homes, e-housing, or Real Estate Japan. I think I mentioned in the previous video that I use Real Estate Japan, but this time for this current apartment, I actually use Sumo. Some sites are very Japanese and some of them are more foreign friendly, so be sure to do your due diligence whenever you're looking into apartments. Since I'm currently living in Japan, Sumo was actually a lot easier. It's one of the bigger websites that a lot of people in Japan actually use. Me personally, actually, I really like looking to apartments. It's kind of addicting to some degree. So every day for about 2 to 3 weeks, I was on Sumo looking for apartments. And actually, I got very, very lucky to find this apartment. The day that I found this apartment, it actually listed that morning at like 7. And then I was on Sumo around 7:15. I found it and I applied. The interesting thing is, typically for this apartment, they're not so foreign friendly, but the real estate agency that was listing this on Sumo actually could speak some English. There was one caveat though. Whenever I applied for this, I did have to do an interview with the real estate management company in Japanese. Of course, I've been living in Japan a little over 6 years now, so at that time it wasn't too difficult for me to do the interview. The interview was actually very simple in terms of what's your name, what's your date of birth, what do you do for a living in Japan. Of course, this had to be completely in Japanese. Fortunately, again, I was very lucky and I was able to pass this interview, and I was granted the apartment a few days after. Whenever I was making a decision on which apartment I wanted to move into, I had a lot of non-negotiables. My main non-negotiables were less than a 10-minute walk from the station, somewhere more central side of Tokyo, and then also a building that was built within the last 15 years. Whenever you're deciding to move to Japan, I highly recommend making this list of factors that you consider when moving into an apartment, and then make some key non-negotiables that you would have for choosing an apartment. Okay, lastly, I wanted to share some tips from my side that I think could help you if you are planning on finding an apartment here in Tokyo. First and foremost, start with a budget. Everyone has a different personal situation or different financial situation. You might be moving here by yourself, with a partner, or with a family. These are things that you really have to take into consideration when finding a place. As mentioned previously, don't think about just the monthly costs. Also think about the money that you have to pay up front whenever you do find an apartment. The second tip that I have is using the right website as well as the right agencies. As mentioned, there's a lot of agencies and a lot of different websites that you can use for finding an apartment. If you are moving to Japan and you don't speak Japanese, use the foreign-friendly websites. Of course, these websites can sometimes be limiting in terms of what you can find, and that's where I think it's very important to use an agency. In a lot of cases, some of these agencies will give a free consultation, and then they will look for houses and apartments for you. Personally, I've done both. I've used websites and I found an apartment by myself, and I've used agencies. Both of them have their pros and cons, and I definitely think it's worth it if you are using both at the same time. A lot of agencies as well might be able to help you with visa requirements, or also help you with a lot of the paperwork and documentation, which in a lot of cases is usually in Japanese. My third tip, and something that I kind of mentioned previously, is know which factors are most important to you whenever it comes to looking for an apartment. Have your non-negotiables, but also be able to make compromises. The fourth tip that I have is learn some Japanese. While it's not absolutely necessary, it definitely helps a lot. Again, for myself, I've been here for a little over 6 years now, so I can speak at least a conversational level. I'm nothing close to fluent at all, but if it wasn't for me being able to speak some Japanese, I might not be living in this current apartment that I am now if I didn't pass that interview. So it does go a long way. If you're planning on moving here, at least try to learn how to say simple introductions for yourself. The last tip that I have is actually consider, before moving into an apartment, moving into a share house. Of course, this is easier if you are moving here by yourself as opposed to having a partner or a family. Share houses are great because if you don't have a concrete plan in terms of your living situation, or if you want to physically look at apartments, it might just be easier to do that for 1 to 2 months. Another great thing, of course, is if you move to a share house, it's also a good way for you to meet a lot of people and just feel a little bit more comfortable moving into a city where you know nothing about it yet. Definitely a good way to settle into the city before you actually settle into the city, if that makes sense. Anyways, that's about it for the video. I hope that everybody enjoyed it. Whether again you're just wanting to know what the cost of living is like in Japan, or if you're actually planning on moving here, I hope that this helps. Moving here is definitely overwhelming, but if you do your due diligence and if you use the right tools and connect with the right people, I think it can be a very satisfying and fulfilling experience. If you have any questions, or if you would like for me to deep dive into any tips or experiences that I have, please feel free to leave some comments down below and I will do my best to answer them. Thank you again so much for watching my $1,500 Tokyo apartment tour. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you are planning on moving to Tokyo or anywhere else in Japan in the near future, I hope that this also helped give some insights into that. Moving forward, I'm planning on making similar videos to this, so if you're interested in seeing that kind of content, please be sure to like the video and subscribe. Until next time.